The energy crisis currently destroying lives and businesses in Europe will soon arrive in Australia. Let's go through a few facts. Energy prices in Europe have tripled this year and are 10 times higher than the 5-year average. 8.5 million British households are facing energy poverty, which is defined as a household spending more than 10% of their income on energy. Power prices in Britain are expected to rise another 80% this month alone. The Don't Pay UK movement is aiming to enlist 1 million consumers who refuse to pay their power bills. And the German government has responded to power shortages in the typical way, promising to spend 65 billion euros on helping people and businesses pay their power bills. As everyone knows, this is not the solution, just as the cause of this crisis is not solely Russia's closing off of gas supplies to Europe. The crisis was caused by decades of loopy, anti-Western, anti-industrial energy policies that were actually intended to lead to this. The environmental religion behind net zero and renewable energy was never about maintaining the quality of life in industrialised nations. It was about reducing it. Well, on the eve of a horrific winter in Europe in which millions of people will freeze in the dark, the wishes of the renewable zealots are finally being granted. Millions will suffer as a result of this folly and thousands will probably die. Unlike global warming, if such a thing even exists, global cooling actually is bad for life on Earth, especially humans. The cold kills. Yet this is the road that Anthony Albanese and Chris Bowen want to take Australia. Wholesale prices are going up so rapidly for energy that in June, one Brisbane energy retailer told tens of thousands of customers to find a cheaper provider because its prices were about to go through the roof. Albanese and Bowen promised during the election campaign that they would reduce power bills by an average $275 a year, a promise they always knew they could never keep if they also remained committed to enforcing renewables onto the market. Well, my next guest is a retired United States Navy Rear Admiral Mike Hewitt, who now runs a company selling what could be the best strategy for Australia to avoid Europe's fate: small modular nuclear reactors, or SMRs. Mike, welcome to the show.
Fred, thank you for having me.
Well, let's get straight to the point, Mike. How much do these things cost? How soon could you deliver them? And how much energy would they produce?
So it's interesting with the advent of small modular reactors, there's over 450 large reactors operating around the planet today. But we've always realized that they weren't always the right solution for many of the emerging market countries. And so the industry itself has been developing what we call small modular reactors. Many of them were designed to address some of the inherent concerns over safety, but also building them in a factory, similar to an aircraft. And so you build them in a factory, you can tailor them to the amount of power that you need. In other words, I could tailor a reactor to desalinate water. I could tailor a reactor to create green hydrogen or power an oil refinery or mine ore in Australia. And the third thing is they're investable, because we're going to create a small modular reactor where the risk of construction risk, which we've seen for the last 30 years in trying to build these large plants, is really weaned out with the development of small modular reactors. So factory built, investable, I can match up the power to the application and the offtake, so I can tailor the size of the reactor. And because they're smaller, I can put them in many places that I couldn't put a gigawatt size reactor. So what you're seeing around the planet right now is about 300 gigawatts of new nuclear capacity will be built in the next 30 years. And the vast majority of those power plants will be what we call small modular reactors.